This week's video is going to be in the form of a vlog, gig diary, whatever you want to call it. I was asked last weekend to play with a big band, and the gig involved doing a big band set, then playing a set with a singer doing a set of Motown songs, and then another singer doing some kind of disco funk stuff. I thought this might be interesting because it was going to require some different gear, and it was a slightly different type of gig to what I had been doing and vlogging about. So in terms of gear, I decided I was going to try and cover all three sets using my 335, 335, this one here, as supposedly this is the guitar that does everything, and I'm going to use my Quad Cortex. And I didn't know before I arrived if I was going to be using just the Quad Cortex or using my amp as well. I knew I was going to be using in-ears for at least part of it. Anyway, as it turned out, I used the Quad Cortex through my amp for all three sets and my in-ears for all three sets. There was no on-stage monitoring. I learned quite a few new things on this gig. You're always learning. I've been playing for many years, but there's still some new things happen. One of the things I learned how to do was untangle my in-ear monitors from a bass guitar's machine heads, which managed to entangle themselves halfway through a song. I also learned that I probably should have listened to how loud my amp was on stage before I put my in-ear monitors on. The rest of the big band, all the horn players and the bass player, were relying on the sound on stage as they didn't have in-ear monitors, and I was miles too quiet to begin with. Now that's something you don't hear very often, a guitarist being too quiet. So eventually I turned up, and then I think the balance was okay for the rest of it. Anyway, here we are. Here's some footage of the gig, a little bit of a preamble before I left, showing you the music, etc. Here we go. Well, I haven't done one of these gig diaries for a while, because most of the gigs I've been doing were fairly similar after a while, so I thought it would get a bit repetitive. This weekend I've got a gig and I'm playing with a big band and then back in a couple of singers. So we're going all the way from big band jazz to doing some Motown and some sort of pop and funky tunes. I thought it might be quite interesting to talk about it, gear choice, etc. So I'm going to use my Gibson 335 because that, I think, should be able to cover all bases. I'm just going to take this one guitar. That's plugged into my computer using the UAD Buxom Betty plugin. So, decisions to be made here. I'm going to take with me my Quad Cortex because I'm not sure if I'm going to, well, I think I will be using in-ears, but I'm not sure whether I'm going to be using in-ears for the big band section. So I don't know whether I need to use my amp. I'm going to be taking my amp as well. I'm going to be taking my in-ears, which are here. These are relatively new ones. On the second set of moulds, because the first set weren't quite long enough. They're by ACS, who have been really good, and here they are. They're dual driver, moulded to my ears, and they're, yeah, I've been very pleased with them so far. I've had varying results, but that's more to do with the mix rather than these. These fit really well and sound really good. And I'm going to take my iPad, onto which I have loaded all of the music. So here we are, Hawaii 5-0. That's the one that's just arrived this morning, so I'm just about to run through that and practice it. This whole Black Magic. All right, okay, you missed it. Bad Leroy Brown. These are some quite kind of classic big bandy tunes. Let's have a little play through. Let's have a play through this Leroy Brown with the track. Etc. Not played this one yet. This is my sight reading. So that's Hawaii 5-0. That was my first run through. I'm going to have another few practices of that, but I practiced all the other tunes. So I'm looking forward to this. So I'm going to take my amp, I'm going to take my Quad Cortex and just this guitar, and I'll get some footage from the gig. and the rehearsal. Right, see you later. I'm set up using an amp so the rest of the big band can hear me. With the Quad Cortex. So just installing the app I need to run my in-ear monitors. I can connect to the digital desk and get my own monitor mix, which is quite handy, but I had to come outside to get enough signal to download it. As I mentioned before, first lesson learnt here was checking how loud your on-stage volume is before you put your in-ears in, particularly if you haven't got a sound man checking all these things. I was too quiet to begin with. I could hear myself really clearly in my in-ear monitors. I set my mix exactly as I wanted, but when I took my ears out, I thought, oh, that's strange, I can't really hear myself, and I checked and nobody else could hear me. So that was first lesson learnt. Here we go. This is what it sounded like before I turned up. And this next one is a very important lesson, how to untangle yourself from a bass guitar's headstock. He's got my in-ear caught on his bass guitar. Yes! Going through the set.
Who will buy? Who will buy? That's you at the start for the vocal. Yes, yeah.
I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was interesting. I certainly had a good gig. It was a long day, but it was nice to do something different for a change. The preset I used on the gig, I'll make that available on the Cortex Cloud. My profile name is TJ Walker, and I will call it, what shall I call it? Let me think. I think I'm going to call it Big Band to Funk 335. So look out for it. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like, leave me a comment. Also hit subscribe and the bell so you know when I've got another video coming out. I'm bringing out new videos every week, and I'll see you next time.